There's none righteous, no, not one. We're all in need of the blood of the Son to cleanse us, redeem us, lead us into truth. Now what I want my life to do is just glorify that Lamb. I will glorify the Lamb with all I have, with all I am. I will glorify the Lamb. It's been promised, though hard to believe, but Jesus is still coming back for you and me. Then every knee shall bow in honor to the King. Oh, and every tongue will sing. Oh, I will glorify the Lamb. I will glorify the Lamb with all I have, with all I am. I will glorify the Lamb. I will glorify the Lamb. I will glorify the Lamb with all I have, with all I am. I will glorify the Lamb. Oh, I will glorify the Lamb. I will glorify you, Jesus. Hey.
Anniversary rolls in. I hope we have new windows. We're going to remodel the windows. We've already talked about it. I'm just going to have to firm some things up. The same people that are helping us. Oh, such an amazing crew. They said, look how ugly your windows are. And I said, I agree. After they painted everything, they said, look at how ugly. And I want you to go outside and go, look how ugly the windows are compared to what's happening all around. And I said, yes, Lord, new windows. New windows. And then we have a plan to put a basketball court in front, which will double as parking, yes, but I would like for your young people to come, just like when we were growing up here in this church. We didn't go home because we scrimmage. Every day we went and we scrimmage. And I'm hoping that we can do that. Is that going to cost some money? Yes, it will. But God is good that way. And I'm going to believe in faith. There are plans, of course. We always talked about buying that place across the street. We haven't given up on that. Those of you that expressed that vision before, I have never given up on that thought. And one day I would hope that we would be so financially strong that I can do what that person did to me yesterday, where he said, if you want to sell your church, we're funding in 90 days. I'm hoping that someday we can make them an offer they cannot refuse. Go somewhere else, but we want this place, the adjoining place. I'm believing that. Not in anger, not in discrimination, but knowing that we serve God. We want to build a multi-purpose hall in the back, a gymnasium, aside from the paving of the front. There's also this vision of building housing for the unfortunate, for homeless people. Build this transitional ministry. I'm sharing this with you so you can pray with it. But I am believing, and I hope you would believe with me, especially those of you who are pastors in this church, that someday, this generation of pastors, before anyone goes to heaven, we would see this, and we would do it. Scripture says, God will give your older man dreams. I celebrated my birthday recently. I told my dad, I said, how old are you? I said, I'm 48. You're old now, son. And so I said, thank you. It's time for God to give the dreams. So I hope that dream burns eternal until the time that God takes us all. And then, even better dreams. Because then we will be in the presence of God. Oh, I pray we would continue on and serve God as He has called us. Let's all rise as we receive the benediction. We always have food in the back. We are never potluck. But today I think it's a little better than usual. So I would ask those of you, even if you're in a little bit of a hurry, to please sit down and partake of the food and celebrate with us. Anyway, some of you guys, I need to shake your hands. It's been a long time since I've seen you. We need to make our acquaintance and we need to meet. It is customary in this church that we give the benediction, and it goes like this. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you. The Lord be gracious to all of you. To you, to your children, to your children's children, to your children's children's children, now and forevermore. Amen. We'll see you at the back. Thank you for
Okay, we got the new windows, and then the patio was cemented. That is 2014. 2015, we ceased to exist. Just imagine that. What What is it for us? When we entrusted that property to the Foursquare Church and become a charter, did we benefit from it? Nothing. Only the trademark. Come on, man. From 2008 to 2014, that is the tenure of Pastor Hector. All the improvements was done during his tenure. When I became a property custodian of that property, 24/7, for 7 years I've been in that property, I've never seen these corporate people. As a videographer of the church, I always take videos of all the people that our visitor and sharing the word of God in our chapel.
The Global Foursquare Church is a movement comprised of local church congregations around the world who share a common mission and message. This movement began with a single church in 1923 and has spread to over 140 countries around the globe. In the United States, the Foursquare Church was incorporated in 1927 and ultimately implemented a modified Episcopal governance and shared ownership of property under a single religious nonprofit corporation. Historically, there have been many benefits to this structure, since shared ownership of property has ultimately provided a strong asset base for the denomination. And because of that, for several decades, many local churches have been able to acquire, construct, or renovate church properties that may not have been possible without the strength of our combined asset portfolio. And this has resulted in huge savings over the years. However, these benefits also come with a cost and a shared responsibility. Purchasing, constructing, or renovating facilities results in added financial obligations like maintenance, insurance coverage, and other responsibilities that come with the territory when you own property. This structure also necessitates very thorough processes for vetting property-related decisions to ensure that each local congregation can sustain the obligations of property ownership so that the property doesn't become a liability that negatively impacts the local church or the Foursquare family as a whole. In many cases, this need for thorough vetting and review of numerous and often simultaneous property decisions around the nation can feel bureaucratic and unintentionally impede the goals of a local congregation. So in 2013, our movement began investigating alternative structures for property ownership that would empower the local church to control its property decisions while the Foursquare denomination retains authority for the polity of the church. In 2016, a historic decision was made by the Foursquare family when the convention body voted to amend our bylaws to provide a new option for property ownership at the local church level. Today, local Foursquare churches can operate under either of two models with respect to property ownership. The first is Foursquare's traditional model of ownership, known as a Foursquare charter church. The Foursquare bylaws describe a charter church as a church established and chartered by International Church of the Foursquare Gospel as a local Foursquare church, or a church not previously established by International Church of the Foursquare Gospel, which is elected to become a local Foursquare church, having no legal existence, articles of incorporation, bylaws, or other organizing documents apart from those of the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel, and which has transferred title to all of its property into the name of International Church of the Foursquare Gospel with no possibility of reversion unless specifically agreed to by the board. In essence, the Foursquare denomination is comprised of individual congregations who are all linked together under a single corporate entity and share responsibility for all property, much like these train cars are each distinct in their form and function, yet they comprise a single train with the same destination, cargo, and track. In this example, the track would represent the Foursquare bylaws, the governance document that keeps us all moving in the same direction. Since Foursquare charter churches are all linked together into a single train, whatever happens to one car ultimately impacts the entire train. The second and new option for property ownership is called a Foursquare covenant church. The Foursquare bylaws describe a covenant church as a local church previously established by the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel that has elected, with board approval, to have a legal existence apart from that of the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel, and to affiliate with the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel by mutual agreement in a covenant relationship. Or a local church not previously established by or associated with the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel that is a separate legal entity that has elected to affiliate with the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel by mutual agreement in a covenant relationship, which obligates the local church to operate by the bylaws of the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel with the rights and duties pertaining thereto. In the case of a covenant church, this is a separate legal entity, yet there remains a binding connection with the Foursquare denomination by virtue of the covenant agreement, which is executed by the boards of both the local church corporation and the Foursquare Corporation. Under this arrangement, the local church agrees to be governed by Foursquare's bylaws and policies, but retains individual responsibility and authority over decisions concerning church property. Using the train illustration, the covenant agreement enables a local church to operate as a separate train using the same track, thus allowing an independent church corporation to operate as a Foursquare church and in accordance with Foursquare bylaws. Under this covenant arrangement, either party may terminate by following the prescribed process, but in doing so, the covenant church will discontinue its membership in the Foursquare denomination. So, how does a Foursquare covenant church differ from the historical model known as a Foursquare charter church? This diagram illustrates a side-by-side comparison of these two models. As you can see, the only differences between a Foursquare charter and covenant church relate to the decisions concerning the operation of local church property and related obligations such as insurance and internal Foursquare loans. But when it comes to the organizational structure, access to resources, or responsibility for commitments such as monthly reporting and extension tithe, a Foursquare covenant church will operate in every way as a Foursquare church. Covenant church leaders will enjoy all the benefits of being part of the Foursquare movement and will have full access to services like district events, community, and care, Foursquare retirement, the Center for Spiritual Renewal, and credentialing services. And although covenant churches are organized as separate corporations, leaders will still have full access to all Foursquare departments for consultation on issues like property, insurance, administration, plan giving, retirement, and legal issues. At the end of the day, the only real differences between a covenant and charter Foursquare church is that, for legal reasons, covenant churches are not able to participate in the Foursquare insurance program, but our amazing team is fully available to assist with consultation in obtaining a comparable insurance policy from a different provider. And although covenant churches will not be able to participate in internal ICFG loans, they are welcomed and encouraged to contact Foursquare Financial Solutions to apply for an FFS loan as needs arise. As you can see, this arrangement has been carefully crafted to provide options for property ownership while maintaining all of the important elements that make it such a benefit to belong to a family like Foursquare. So now let's take a moment to review the process required to become a Foursquare Covenant Church. For current Foursquare churches, the first step is to establish a local nonprofit corporation to serve as the legal entity that will hold title to church property. This corporation will need to have officers, as well as a board of directors, who will ultimately play a comparable role to that of the Foursquare Church Council. In order to establish a corporation, you will most likely need to get assistance from a professional to draft incorporation documents, and the district offices can provide a referral to vendors who have been pre-screened and already understand what documents are needed. Existing independent churches that want to join Foursquare probably already have a corporation in place, but it's also important to note that the senior pastor of any charter or covenant Foursquare church must hold an active Foursquare minister's credential. If this is not already in place, you can initiate this process through your local district office. The next step is for our district and central office teams to perform a cursory review of the incorporation documents and a few other important pieces of information that will be needed to ensure that everything's in place to proceed with the covenant agreement. Then it will be time to ratify and sign the covenant agreement, and this begins by a vote of the local church congregation and requires a 3/4 majority of the regular attenders to attest that they are in support of this agreement. This will be verified by the local church board members who will be asked to sign the covenant agreement and confirm that this decision was ratified by a 3/4 majority of the congregation. From there, The signed agreement will go to the Foursquare Board of Directors for a board resolution, so that the covenant may be signed by a Foursquare corporate officer, and then the covenant agreement is complete. From that point forward, the church can begin to operate as a full-fledged Foursquare church, with the local church maintaining authority and responsibility for any decisions to buy, sell, lease, or renovate newly acquired property in accordance with Foursquare's policies and bylaws. We hope that this video has provided a helpful orientation to both the purpose and the process behind the Foursquare Covenant Church model, and pray that this important step opens the door wide to churches and ministers who want to join the Foursquare family in our shared mission to spread the gospel message around the world.
The proposals include the first step towards allowing Foursquare churches to own their own property rather than having the title held by the national church, as is currently the case. There is a revised provision to allow for churches joining Foursquare to become fully part of the movement while keeping their property in a separate legal entity to own their own property. Do not covet anything that belongs to others, including their property, because coveting is the one often leads to evil, like perjury or bearing false witness, that is done in order to cover up all these other crimes that are caused by coveting. Faith Bible Church of Los Angeles Incorporated is a religious non-profit organization that is located in 12055 Wick Street, Sun Valley, California, 91352. This document will tell you that the real owner of this property is the Faith Bible Church of Los Angeles, California, that was entrusted this property to the International Foursquare Church when they became a chartered church. So now, where are these people now, this congregation, to date? Tell me, do not lie. Coveting is the desire to steal what belongs to another person, and giving false testimony is stealing justice, and so on. The third enormously important meaning of the commandment against stealing concerns the many non-material things each person owns: their reputation, their dignity, their trust, and their intellectual property. A person's reputation. Stealing a person's good name, whether through libel, slander, or gossip, is a particularly destructive form of theft because, unlike money or property, once a person's good name has been stolen, it can almost never be fully restored. A person's dignity. The act of stealing a person's dignity is known as humiliation. And humiliating a person, especially in public, can do permanent damage to what perhaps the most precious thing any of us owns, our dignity. A person's intellectual property. This form of theft includes anything from copying software or downloading music and movies without paying for them, to stealing a person's words, what we know as plagiarism, and also stealing other properties like reputation, dignity, and which even trust. There is hardly any aspect of human life that is not harmed, sometimes irreparably, so by stealing. This is why it is fair to say that if everyone just observed only one of the 10 commandments, observing the commandments, do not steal, would all by itself make a beautiful world. Churches are institutions that are so vocal in the protection of human dignity. The whole of the church doctrine, in fact, developed in the principle that affirms the inviolable dignity of a human person. And the church has striven above all to defend human dignity in the face of every step or attempt to redimension or distort its image. Thus, the church social doctrine requires that ownership of private property be equally accessible to all, so that all may become, at least in some measure, owners, and it includes recourse to form of common and promiscuous dominion. So when I became a property custodian, and I know that the property of the local congregation, they own it. They are the one who paid for that. So I am part owner of this property. Then why is it that they even file a... My God, these people are really, really corrupt. This is the inside of the Airstream. This is my dwelling place. This Airstream, the one who paid for this Airstream, is Nonyabo. Okay, from 2008 to 2015, this is my dwelling place. Before, I was forced to sell it. Because according to the district administrator, they're going to call a towing company. And they're going to tow this Airstream, and they will say that this is abandoned. The commandment against stealing has always understood to mean that we are not allowed to steal what people owns. It has been shown over and over that private property, beginning with land ownership, is indispensable to creating a free and decent society. And private property, especially these 4 acres that belongs to the Faith Bible Church of Los Angeles, California, a non-profit religious organization, and it's a corporation before it became a chartered church. How to scam people for money and their property? A fraud. A trustworthy organization or individual will not ask you to transfer your property rights to them. So, what is the good lesson over here? Never, never transfer ownership of your property. Never turn over your deed or title, or transfer ownership or quit claim of ownership of your property to any organization or individual. Okay? Because this is what happened to us. I am not after the police square. I am after the people, the employees of this organization, especially those who are put in authority. Come on, men. Have respect to the corporate code of conduct and code of ethics. The most important assets of any church is the congregation and their property. And this is clear. Everybody knows that.
For the church, we had added a lot of improvements and a lot more improvements coming. I won't mention what we're going to be doing because it's subject to this change. So far, they are willing, but I haven't seen the actual dedication of those people working yet. I don't know if we want to go into a lot of details, but let me stand away so people can see it. But one of the areas that we're trying to do, if possible, is to increase the item called parking fees. That's when we have movie studios, TV companies coming here and using our facilities. We're hoping to get that area in the future a larger number. And of course, the Bible school is lands. We definitely want to see that number bigger. But that will come in time. If you notice on rental income, those are the churches. There's actually there's one name on there that is being changed. Invest NL Camino is actually now, I take that back. The actual name is Real something, which is the Pastor Edwards. You notice Pastor Edwards' name's on there twice. Because he had to change names. You see, we're getting a good amount of income. And most of the repairs that are being provided at the church are being done through the rental income. And I would say we're fortunate with most of them are paying and helping us. Somebody want to move? And you can see our tithes. And of course, that special offering for the typhoon that we made. And I really don't want to go into a lot of detail as to all the expenses. If people want more details, I'm sure the accounting department, and if I can, I'll help to give you determinations of what we're spending money on. The repair and maintenance, that is where the modifications to the church is being charged. And I anticipate that number this coming year to be quite large. Just because of the improvements that we have planned will be at the point now getting to be very expensive. There are big projects on the agenda, and hopefully they will come in the future. I can't say which ones they are because they're subject to change. But there are some big improvements coming. And again, if anybody wants some of the details, we'd be glad to explain them. But accounting is very boring, and most people don't enjoy looking at numbers. But it shows that there was a slight income. Obviously, our intentions are not to make an income, but to put the money back into the church. If anybody has really, all I really wanted to really say, I was hoping more of the council members were able to address some of the changes.
This is the condition of that property that belongs to the Faith Bible Church of Los Angeles, California, 2015, when the corporation took over the said property And come on, man, these people are really, really after the property actually. This is a clear. This is a evidence that these people who are given this authority to run the corporation, they are not after the people. These are not men. Foursquare Church is now becoming what? More of a corporate entity. They are after the property. And those people who are given the authority, because they are trying to what? They are trying to climb the ladder to become aiming for a higher position in the church. Hey, if you want to serve the corporation, then serve it. Okay? We are serving here Jesus Christ, the only Godhead of the church, the true church. We're doing some work over here because Pastor Noni told me, okay, let's let Pastor Hector to build up the church. Because actually, the condition of the church is not like this before. Since you don't have any values in you, can you just look at the church? You see, like maybe I can call myself the first custodian of this church under Pastor Hector.
So when the devil starts to attack us and discourage us, we love you, Lord. Your name is miraculous, Jesus. Your name is supernatural, Jesus. Jesus.
Nowadays, we have staff, we have videographers, we have photographers, we have sound people, we have volunteers. We are a different organization.
This is the entrance of the residential building located at 12055 Wicks Street, Sun Valley, California. Okay, this is the main door, and this is the fellowship hall of the residential building, and this is the kitchen where they remove the gas range lately, and okay. Right. And okay, these are the restroom. And the restroom has a shower. And the other side is the women's restroom that has a shower also. Okay. And here's another room. Okay. This room is a multifunctional room that is connected to the senior pastor room, and also this room is connected and has a door connected to the kitchen. So, and can be considered as a unit for a single dwelling. And here's another room in this property that is used. This is used as a children's room. Okay. And it has its own restroom, and have another door going outside, and this can be considered as a single family dwelling room or a single. And here's another room, just a regular room that is used by the accounting department. Okay. And this is the door of the senior pastor room, office. And here's another room that we used to use as our classroom in the Los Angeles Ministerial Bible School. It's now under renovation. Okay, and it has a door going to the side of the church, and this is also a big room. The floor area is also big. Okay. And here is another room that we use as a small chapel. Okay, before. Okay. It's also considered a good size room because this is used as a small chapel in which 50 people can occupy this room. Okay. And another room, a small room connected to the nursery. Okay. Okay, this one is the nursery. It has, okay, this is the main hall, or like a hall of the nursery, and this nursery has 3 small rooms, and this one still dark. Okay, cannot see. Okay, this is used like for exercises, and this room is the video room where I do my videos, on which I am the only official staff or personnel that use this room, because all the equipments that I use in my videos are inside this room. And this room is only a small room, and this is the only room that they put a number 1 number, and they just put it, the number 1 is like in a bond paper printed, and they put it on the door that I use as a video room for my job. Okay, and they put the number 1 number, and that is the only room that has the number 1 number. Okay, and this is a room that don't have even any built-in closet. It's a small room. And here's another room, okay, that is used for storage. Alright, and this is another one that is a library. So all the books are here, so they call it the library. And then there is another office, a room used by another pastor as an office. Okay, a small room also, and this door is a storage, and that door is leading outside the building. Okay. That's what you can see here in my t-shirt. Maybe I'm out of my yeah, because when I came into this church, I made the greatest choice that I made to be here.
Amen.
I've been here in this church, actually living in this church for 6 years. Woo. 6 years, that's not maybe I'm out of that's what my nephew even told me. However, I have seen a lot of things that's happening in this church. That's the reason I'm still here.
Praise God.
I have seen some prophecy or vision that we made. That's 4 years ago, Pastor Hector and former Pastor Noni. That this church 4 years ago is not like this. Then we have this kind, and then the members of the church maybe 20 or 30, and sometimes the praise and worship is already there. You're going to sing, and somebody asks me, "Where are the people? Where are the only people here?" And I've seen Pastor Hector how he struggled. And then he asked me if I can stay in this church for a while, just to watch the property, because it is vandalized. There's some graffiti, there are fences there, and we're throwing a lot of a lot of things over here. And it took me a month to decide. So I just sleep in my car. And Pastor Hector told me, come on, go inside. No, just sleep in my car. For a month, that's winter time. And rather don't know it. And then I decided, because I don't want to, take advantage of something that they're offering. So I just endured the winter time, it's cold. And the Pastor Hector said, okay, after a month, I decided, okay, maybe I can stay in this church because I want also to know God in Jesus Christ. Because I was raised in a Catholic family, because in the Philippines, we are all Catholic, 90%. And then I still remember my mother bringing me in the church. That's my first exposure. And then I became an altar boy. When I graduated from elementary, my father decided that I will go in the seminary, minor seminary, because he thinks I'm going to become a priest. To become a priest, Catholic priest, it will take you a long time. If you start from high school, I think it will take you 12 years of studying. And us here, it will take us only 3 years, 3 hours, 2 days, and finally you might become a pastor. And to become a priest, it will take you 12 years. That's a long, and you will be staying in the seminary. You see, it's like and it's also expensive. Not everybody can go to the seminary because you have to pay a lot of money because the board and lodging and everything. Anyway, when I finished my minor seminary, we started 16, we graduated 12, and nobody became a priest actually in my batch. But some become a pastor, some become active in their churches, and now maybe I became doorman for a long time, and now I'm active here in this church, trying to help whatever I can help. And then I have this kind of vision also, that because there's something that I'm doing, because this is, United States is what they call the land of opportunity. If you make it here, something you do, you're made. Then I have something that I'm doing, that until now I'm still wondering to our Lord, why are you holding me still here? Like, suffering, this and that. But however, while reading the Bible, because I became dormant for a long time, it's only lately that I started reading the Bible. I would like to share something in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, that it says here, to everything there is a season and time to every purpose under heaven. So everybody here in this class have a purpose.
Amen.
Under heaven. Because everybody is unique. Maybe you're good in preaching, maybe you're good on something. My gift is different. I can make something out of something. So, actually when I started really committing myself, I even made that, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, over there.
Church.
So, I handmade it. Then, I made a cross. And everybody's even laughing when I'm starting to make it. I said, what am I doing? I'm making a cross. What cross? A small cross? No. I'll crucify you there. It's a big one. So anyway, so that's 2008. And then, one thing also that I really love in this place is a small congregation. And then it's paid off. We don't have any neighbors that's really going to bother you. So I started living in the Airstream, doing some research work. I love it because nobody's bothering me and they think I'm crazy. So anyway, to make the story short, I started also attending the school because I want to learn something. how the church works, what is this they're talking about. So, by being dormant for a long time, I started to know Jesus because when Pastor Hector asked me to receive Jesus Christ in 2008, he said, you know what? When I pray that you're going to receive Jesus Christ, I don't feel anything. And I told him the same to you also. I didn't feel anything. See? Because maybe the seed is there. But you need nourishment to germinate it, to grow little by little. It's not I pray for you, you receive it already. It's not. You have to work for your salvation. You let it grow. You have to nourish it through Scripture.
Amen.
And we have an awesome God.
Amen.
Yes, pray. You see? Because the reason that I'm going to say that we have an awesome God and Jesus Christ. You know, there's when Jesus Christ was crucified, there's two guys with him.
That's right.
And one said to him, remember me once you come to your kingdom. You know what he asked? Just to be remembered. But Jesus see his heart, how sincere he is, his faith. And what he said, Jesus said to him, today you will be in paradise with me.
Amen.
You see, nothing is too late for us here. That's all I can share.
Praise God. Praise God. Woo!